Welcome back. Today we're making a high protein, low calorie chicken soup. It is so lazy, it's so simple. If you're making this for meal prep or just for dinner tonight, literally I'm gonna have this ready from all these raw ingredients to in a bowl in under 20 minutes. The first pro tip, this is gonna make portioning later so much easier, is just scale on, weigh out your pot. My pot weighs 1,700 grams. Now I know that later when it comes time to portion, it's gonna make it really easy for me. I'm gonna put my pot on the cooktop and then I'm just gonna go right into this blitz here. I'm just gonna throw some butter into the pot, 20 grams of butter, and then I'm just gonna really roughly chop all these veggies and I'm gonna throw them in one by one, finishing with the chicken and some boiling chicken stock. So I'm just gonna start by bucking up this onion. And that goes into the butter. Just gonna cook them for a couple minutes while we're chopping the other vegetables and they're gonna get nice and soft and translucent. You don't need to be fancy here. Just make them soup-sized mouthpieces. Same thing, carrot and a ton of celery because it's low calorie and super filling. This is the start of really every great soup or stew that you've ever heard of. There's a French word for it called mirepoix. And same thing, I'm just gonna roughly chop some garlic and I'll do the same thing with some ginger. Most people don't put ginger in their chicken soup, but most people are missing out. Mix that all together, again, just letting that cook nicely while we get everything else prepped. Yeah, doesn't it smell delicious? Same thing with your potatoes. You don't need to be fancy, just make them bite-sized. And lastly, just roughly cube 1.5 kilos of chicken, 1,500 grams of skinless chicken breast. You could easily use thighs here too, but we're just using breast to make it nice and easy. So the whole time we've been prepping all these veggies and all this chicken, the soup has just been doing its thing and starting up. All right, so we've got all our chicken and all our veggies in there. Ginger, garlic, celery, onions, carrots, potatoes. Now what you wanna do is take a liter of boiling water and just pour it directly over top of all of this. Pre-boil this in your kettle if you wanna save time. I just had the kettle going while I was chopping all my veggies. If you're using boxed or liquid chicken broth, obviously add boiling chicken broth instead of water at this point. But what we're gonna use is bouillon. You can get either powdered or this stuff, which is a paste, which I think is much tastier, better than bouillon. What you do is you basically add a couple teaspoons or tablespoons of this to boiling water in your soup, and it turns it into that roasted, beautiful, delicious chicken broth flavor. And my rule with soups, honestly, the war is over. You shouldn't be eating a soup if the food ends down here and then it's all just broth. Like, come on, bro. We're living in 2023 or whenever you're watching this video. Times are aight. You can actually put the food all the way up to the level of the broth so that when you have a ladle of soup, it's full of food. And soup is actually a fantastic diet food because it's mostly just tons of high fiber veggies and lean protein. If you think about it, it's really just a cooked salad with lots of liquid. I don't like how that makes me feel, but it's the truth. So what we're gonna do is just add our bouillon here. This asks for 1 teaspoon for every cup of liquid. We have about 1.5 liters of water in there. So I'm gonna add about 6 tablespoons worth. I'm just gonna give this a good stir now, cover this, and you're gonna let it come up to a boil. Okay, my soup came to a boil. It's been simmering for like 5-10 minutes. I tasted it. I added just a little bit of salt, a little bit of chili flakes just to zhuzh it up. You can add whatever you want. Your stock might be a little bit less salty than mine was. What we wanna do next is just zero out your scale again, and then just weigh the pot without the lid, dweeb. I can see that my soup is 5,300 grams, so it's 5.3 kilos. If we subtract that initial 1,700 grams, and now we have the total weight of this soup that I can actually now divide by 6 and make really accurate meal prep measurements. So my veggies are nice and tender, my chicken is cooked through. We just serve up a bowl and we'll see how it looks. Now that's looking pretty tasty, and if we wanna make it look extra sexy, we can just hit it with a little black pepper. Okay, let me just try this out and see how it tastes. Oh, wow, that's really hot. Whoa. Okay, the broth is meaty. It's got a little bit of that ginger zing, a little bit of garlic depth. It's got a ton of chicken flavor because we boiled 1.5 kilos of chicken in there. It's really tasty. The veggies are all tender. Everything's done just the way you want it. Like I said, divide the weight by 6, portion it out into little meal prep containers, and you have an easy, ready to go lunch or dinner. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Hopefully you'll stick around and watch more. Maybe you subscribe to the channel if you want to see more good stuff like this. And thank you so much for watching, as always. I will see you in the next one. You want to try some of this? All right, let's eat. Look at it. Me too. Really comforting.
This is all for me though, right?